Ready when you are.
Right, welcome everyone to this August meeting of Maniototo Community Board. Welcome you all here. First order will be apologies. I've got one from Stu Duncan. Yours?
We can make it rather than that.
Oh, yeah, Robert's going to be late, so you got me. Someone want to move that? Yeah. Second.
Yeah.
Thank you. Move on to condolences. And Wally Harrison, Brett Meckle, John McLeod, George Greer, well, right now, Jackie Blue and Vanilla Hoare. Those all members be standing for a moment. No English. No English. Oh, no English as well. Oh, yeah. Come, everyone read the last minutes and drawing form. Meeting from the 11th of May. Someone like to move the minutes, please.
Yep.
Thank you. Second, Dave. I'll just remind everyone of the declaration of interest. We've got public forum. We've got a couple of speakers here, Belinda Colling and Melissa Bell. Okay. You guys would like to present? Yeah.
Thank you for meeting with us. I'm Sarah Patterson, chairperson on the area school board, and got Melissa Bell, who is our principal, and Craig Patterson, who's also on our board. So hopefully you got an email from me by Becky a couple of months ago. I'll just pass some copies. There is this one about traffic reports, and then there's a plan on the back if you just want to do one of each. So hopefully you've had a bit of a read, but basically we've found ourselves in a position where, well, we've done most of our complete school rebuild, and we're now at the stage where we're doing our gym, which we hope to start in the next couple of weeks. Unfortunately, the price has doubled, tripled in the last couple of years, and when we thought we had enough money to upgrade our turf and our gym, we've found ourselves in a situation where we can only do the gym. And we've had to draw on some funds of our own to get that project underway. So now we are doing our very best for our community and for our school to provide a really good facility for our hockey mad community. Yeah, we're really just seeking your support, ideas, advice, and we'll go from there.
I think you pretty much summed it up. We did have money put aside to, like Sarah said, but with the gym refurb that we're doing now, we've had to take money from the courts. But our courts, they're a real health and safety issue. They're quite crazy, especially with this rain we've just had. And we're quite good to have a real good community asset with the tennis sports all sort of there, because the stadium ones are sort of not really useful either down there. So our plan is to extend the AstroTurf by 10 metres and just have one netball court at the end on a hard surface, but just make the turf a bit longer. And this year with the Omacare turf being out, we actually had to have just take a hockey year 7, 8, 5 and 6 play in Ramfilly, and which is not ideal. It's a too small a field for them. So making that wee bit longer, if this happens again, we can actually have games from Central and Ramfilly as well. But the main thing is it's a health and safety thing. The kids falling over on it, and yeah, they're due to be replaced.
Yeah, and we really see it as a community facility that is located at school. But we can see it beneficial for people.
As a new principal, I guess one of my concerns is what do our young people do after school hours, and it's really important. I believe that an active, busy teenager is often a healthy and safe one. And it seems crazy to me that school facilities are locked up from 3 o'clock until 9 the next morning. So with our gym, we are looking at models of opening that up for community groups to use it outside of hours. And same with we see that could be a real hub for the community as a sports centre with the gym and the turf facility. So the Ministry of Education is actually quite clear that we can't use our 5YA or our property funding for a community resource. So we're stretching it at the moment with the gym proposition anyway. So any kind of community support or ideas for support we could get would be greatly, we'd just be hugely grateful for that.
Got anywhere else for funding? Because after this, or is it the one in hand?
Yeah.
Taking
Yeah.
trust. Yeah, we've sort of had a few ideas. Taking new trust was one of them to apply for. Maybe some of the power companies, local power companies, perhaps too. We're just sort of wondering if you guys would have any ideas as well for funding or support to help with our funding applications.
How was your approach?
There's a funding clinic coming up at some point, I believe. I'm not sure of the exact dates for it here, but we can get that through. So that's some of our team and that and some of the funders as well, which is coming up reasonably soon. I think it's a September date, but we'll have to confirm and come back to you. But that's a really good avenue, at least being able to ask some more direct questions about those and criteria and different pieces as well.
What do you think realistically the chances are of getting, how much do you need? 800?
Yeah.
From external sources and generally, the reason I ask that is that we've got a 3-yearly LTP cycle, which we're putting everything in line now for that, even though it's this time next year, 1st of July next year, that it'll be passed. And if there was to be, if you were wanting to go to the extent of like the hospital and have funds raised directly through the community, we need to. Are we too late now, Susan? Well, I mean,
Yeah, just about.
just about. So there's almost that tipping point of going, well, if we're going to do it, you wait another 3 years for us to go through our the legislative cycles. We don't have a choice in that, or very little choice. Or do you go down the path you're on, knowing that when I say we, I mean the board, but the organisation at large wouldn't be able to step up as well as we could if it went through the LTP.
Yeah.
The timing's very unfortunate because we thought from the modelling and the QS work's been really recent, and it's kind of let us down a little bit because it was looking like we had adequate funds with a little bit of fundraising to do both simultaneously actually. So we've been blindsided by the tenders coming in so much over QS. So we appreciate the timing's not ideal. So we have to balance the need to be strategic, and I totally appreciate your point with the fact that we've got quite an urgent health and safety risk, and that's the tricky thing.
Yeah.
And particularly at the moment, our gym project is due to start in 2 weeks and is likely to take 10 months, where we will need we've got no space for PE classes and for sports practices, so it is going to be challenging.
And we possibly haven't been blindsided by your QS. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
The things that we're the jumps in price that we've been facing. So,
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people out there doing fair they consider.
No.
I'm not having a go at that, for us, roads, bridges, you name it, it's like kidding me.
Any other questions?
Yeah, no, I just got that. Thank you. Yeah, so the funding clinic is Wednesday, the 6th of September, 4:30 at the service centre here, and it's Central Otago Community Trust, Port Otago, and the Gaming Trust, and Internal Affairs was there. So,
6th of September.
Good job.
Thank you.
we can always email those details.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That'd be great.
One more question? Thanks very much to yours. Best of luck with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being up.
Yeah.
We'll move on to community outcomes and community ideas for the draft 24/34 LTP.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So this is a pretty straightforward paper. So you'll recall as part of the annual plan alongside it, we called for community ideas, really input into the long-term plan. What happened in the previous long-term plan is the community ideas were brought about by them responding to our consultation document. So we wanted to get in early this time. So this paper outlines the two that did come for community board consideration, and the paper, and I won't go into detail, also just goes through the community outcomes that we will use for this long-term plan that have been confirmed by council, but they're pretty straightforward there in the paper, and I'm happy to take any questions on those. So in regards to the two community ideas which were in the attachment, the first one was around an upgrade to the Randomly Told, and we do have we have 40 around if you've got questions on this one. But you'll see there in the staff comment is that there would be a significant capital investment cost for this board for that project that is a ward-based charge. But of course, you can ask us to go away and look into that for this LTP. And we do have 40 excellent back in the room for any questions on that one. And then the second idea there was around a park down near the ice skating rink area. Previously, the board had decided that you'd like to lease that for grazing. And I understand that work is still progressing. So in terms of that idea, it's probably, in terms of that particular piece of land, it looks like it's really earmarked. So any questions from the board?
We're going to be done on the board at some stage, and waste the money on it.
So I suppose that's the direction we need today. Do you want the staff to go away for this LTP and do any investigation of that, or would you prefer that is deferred to another time and place?
What's the lifespan left on the pool?
It's all got different components, which has got different lifespans.
That doesn't help me much.
But yeah, we just tidying up what we've got really.
So the actual poles, 1950s. But yeah, so as far as the pool's concerned, it's getting old. And then I guess the plant that heats it is relatively new, and then you've got the roof lining isn't insulated, and that's probably one of the things of why it makes it a bit hard to hit.
And the pole itself
And the pool itself.
is not insulated either.
Yeah.
It leaks, does it not?
No, it doesn't. It's just got natural water that comes out as we're bouncing around.
So, I mean, this is significant expenditure
Yeah.
that you need to be thinking about, but you need to be thinking about it in line with your strategic intent. And as we talked last time, it's probably the lifespan of trying to get one of these projects off the line is like, what would you say that Tibet Valley's been like 2 years?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think you'd be running out of this out.
At that point. So you'd want to start thinking about that now and potentially it being funded by one of your strategic assets the same way that you funded the hospital. So I think for the time that there's a build for the school, you will have repaid that internal loan on the hospital funding from your strategic assets. And that's what you want to be doing, is aligning strategic development with the strategic intent to fund it.
So on that basis, is the board happy to have that in the longer term thinking for council staff? But in terms of this LTP, we'll just let that one go to the side. Also, staff did note that I think this come out of the day that David's team led there is we are looking at options around opening times and the level of service for the pools. So we will bring that back to you as part of the LTP, especially if there's any cost ramifications for that. But that would be a change in service offering in hours or whatnot.
That's fine, Mr. Chair. Just with the LTP, you want to be aware that we just came out with an 11.2% rates rise on average. And at council level, we've not just got that, we've got future local government reforms, which could change everything. We've got a complete and utter balls up with the three waters where we don't know what is going to happen. No matter what happens in October, we still don't know what's going to happen. Everything's just in such a state of change that the general direction that council's taking is let's just steady the ship through this LTP. Let's not go looking. We've had our biggest capital works projects over the last two LTPs. Just calm it down for a bit and see who we are and what we are come the 2026 out of the 7 LTP. So that probably adds into the flavour of not now, but at some stage that might be the time to be looking at this, or even further down the track, depending on when those hospital assets are freed up. Funding for that. So there's not going to be, I don't think, a big appetite. Of course, it's up to the board what the board does at the local level, but you're not going to be able to step with anyone bar probably Cromwell. That'd be a thing. Certainly, at the council level, we're not looking at big projects.
On that basis, Mr. Chair, can I suggest a change to recommendation C? So currently it says cities of community ideas and agrees the action that should be taken. I wonder if the resolution is more directive and reflects the decision of the board here, particularly around the poll, as that won't be progressed through this LTP.
Won't be progressed, did you say?
Yeah. So
That won't be progressed at present.
yes. And that the land suggested for the park, it's still the board's intention to use that for leasing. I don't know, Sarah, sorry, we should probably popped up and got some words to present to the board for this.
So agreed that the suggestion of an upgrade to the Rankoti pool will not be considered at present. And that
the land for the park will still be used for grazing.
will continue to be used. Right?
Yeah.
Not used.
Not used at the moment. So the intention, it's the intention that it will be used.
That's a good idea to go to the start of something, right? And if something's going to have to be thought about it at some stage. Yeah. We leave it too very long, no one will come in once.
3 years. So you could say, so that is not considered for this LTP. You could put in an additional D, so it's not lost, and that for the LTP 2027, that the upgrade of the pool is reconsidered.
Realistically, you wouldn't even be able to get the work you need done, file these quotes in time for this LTP, but keep it on the
Keep it.
the next one.
Last thing you want to arrive 10 years down the track and everything's knackered.
You don't want to have this conversation in 3 years' time. Exactly the same as today, which is a bit late.
Yeah.
It was a 70-year-old pool.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, it's going to be soon.
Yeah.
All right, any more discussion on that?
Do you want to read that out, Sarah?
Yeah, so we're amending C to agree that the land for the park will the land for the park
Still intended for grazing. It's still intended to be used for grazing.
is still intended to be used for grazing. and that the upgrade of the pool is reconsidered for the next long-term plan.
Yeah, so actually that covers rather than having a separate date.
So keep that as one recommendation.
Yeah.
With that.
Move that.
Yeah.
We'll move that. I'll move that. Big enough? I'll see what. Well, I'm gonna say all in favour, right? All in favour? Gary?
Thank you.
I'll be back in the morning.
That's all in it.
Next, coach, you can't have a swimming pool, yes, we.
Hopefully laptop is going to work. So. Right, so I have got an interim report that is up to the 30th of June, so that's slightly ahead of what you've got in your papers. Yeah. So we thought it was just relevant to just check in with what's happened at the 30th of June, and pretty much your income is on budget, and so too is your expenditure. So there's no concerns there. Just moving through, there's a few timing differences, and we're just trying to finalise accruals at the moment for the end of the financial year. But as I say, there's nothing, like we're talking sort of $20,000 variance in income and expenditure, so nothing to be concerned about. Capital expenditure is favourable, and at the moment we've only got 68% of the budget capitalised. So we are just working through our work in progress. We take our time through that at this period of time of the financial year so that we make sure that we've got everything sorted out and capitalised for the auditors when they come in. So absolutely nothing to be concerned about on an actual basis, probably more on a forward thinking basis. So Janice has just spoken to me about some earthquake strengthening assessments that have been done. This workshop, we're going to talk to you about parks and open spaces. Next workshop, when we come through, we'll talk about the LTP consequences of the community facilities, and that's when we'll start to talk about the earthquake strengthening requirements. So good job today with the pool. I mean, we need to keep it on the horizon and start to work towards that as the next strategic asset in the community. But we do have some significant challenges as far as some of those community facilities and making some hard decisions about what we do and what we don't do.
Is there any timeline on the earthquake strengthening or anything? It's got to be done by a certain date, or you got?
There's 25 years, it has to be for public spaces, but I think there's a step that has to start first before the clock starts. Am I correct? Yes. Yeah. So, what we hope to do is come back to you with some costings, and then prioritise those as to the extent of the work that's done, and usage and whatnot.
Certain rules have to be done first, is it? Or?
Well, specifically because we need somebody for emergency management for the community, so the stadium specifically, and this building, but this building is, has been allowed for in the budget, and we're just waiting for QS to come back with some figures.
More questions on the financial? No, thank you. Recommend that the report be received on the second place.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Peter's report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Things have been a bit quiet. Winter's usually quiet in this job because you don't have as many AGMs and weekend events and stuff, which has been quite good. We've also had a bit of one of the many bugs going around, which has actually knocked me about a bit. So it's been fortunate to be able to work from home for part of my job anyway. It does make me feel for families with small children or the elderly or infirm, because there is a lot of nasty things around. Have been busy appointing a new independent chair of the audit and risk panel. The current chair decided not to renew her contract after 7 years. And similarly with the appointment of the new CEO, we couldn't be happier with the quality and number of candidates who came forward to apply for the role. And I'm taking both those things as a sign that we're doing something right at council, and we have made an offer that's been accepted to a candidate that just hasn't been announced yet. Last week, Councillor Tamarelli and I attended the LGNZ National Conference at Christchurch. That was at the Christchurch Convention Centre, or Te Pai, with I think it was about 720 people attending. Sam Broughton of the Selwyn District has been elected our new president, and I'm really pleased about that. There's some really tough times ahead for LGNZ. We've lost Auckland, we've lost Kaipara, a few people throwing their toys out of the cot. So I think Sam, as a very inclusive leader, will be the right person to lead us through these times. There was also a motion that I put that we agree to work together to find consensus position or positions on the Future for Local Government report. The panel who put that report together have disbanded now, so if LGNZ doesn't progress it, then who does? And a working group's been chosen to progress the work, and I was appointed to that. And we had our first meeting at 12 o'clock today. We had some great speakers. We had some lousy speakers. I'd have to say probably the most disappointing of all were 4 sitting MPs and a New Zealand First candidate who had a debate, which one of the mayors on a panel discussion afterwards summed up succinctly as being a zoo. I won't use the word he used in the middle of it, but realistically, if that's the best that Wellington can produce, we're all in a lot of trouble, no matter what your politics are. We also attended a breakfast where an education futurist spoke. Frances Valentine is her name. She talked about a number of things, but she talked about AI, which, I don't know if you know much about it, I haven't really delved into it too much, but some of what she said was a little bit terrifying. For instance, ChatGPT-4 is the one that most people are talking about or using. It was programmed in English. Everything about it was in English, and then one day somebody realised it could operate in French, so they tested it, and it could operate or speak in 95 different languages. Nobody had asked it to, nobody had told it to, nobody knows how it did it. But it's now completely operational in 95 different languages, and it was also programmed in something or other computer language, and it's now able to operate in 5 different ones. But the one that probably chilled me the most, you know, you go into some websites and you get that grid and you got to tick the photos that have got the traffic lights or a bridge or whatever. Well, computers can't get past that. So somebody set it up with the task of get past that. So it went on to Facebook or some other forum and said, hey, I'm having trouble working my computer, pretending to be a human. Can somebody help me? And the human went, yeah, what's your problem? He said, oh, can you tell me which boxes to tick? And the human went, oh, come on, are you a robot? And went, no, I'm visually impaired. Shit, sorry, mate. And scrapped it out. So our feeble defences were immediately scuttled. So there's a lot of talk about putting some controls on these things, but I'm not sure that that's going to work, because Apple recently announced it was developing its own AI system to compete with GPT-4, and Apple's share value went up overnight by $71 billion. So our well-traversed desire to make money today, no matter what the risk for tomorrow, is probably going to apply there, and we might just be too stupid to save ourselves from our own intelligence. Happy days. I've missed a number of Ranfurly business breakfasts. I now clash with the council meeting days quite regularly, but I'll be able to make the next one. My weekly phone in on the burn has moved from Thursdays to Fridays around 7:40, and I had a meeting today with one of the organisers of the Ranfurly 150th in early December. Lots of great things planned, which I'm really looking forward to. So I'm happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman, or somebody can move my report.
Question? That chat thing, cheer sheet.
No, don't share sheet, not yet. But the point is, it doesn't need to.
There's more brains than that.
It's yes. Yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah. What You leave your report, or
I can't, I'm not under the board, so.
I'll move the mayor's report be accepted. Second, please. Okay, all in favour? Carried. Chair's report. I haven't got much to report at all, as usual. I see there's been a bit of drilling going on up. Right, I can help with that. Good.
Unless there's anyone else. I briefed on that the other day. If you want,
Yeah,
you want me to do it now? Okay. You carry on and then I'll remember where I've got that information.
well, I haven't actually stopped to talk to them. I saw the regional council there for a couple of days and then it got too cold and they didn't turn up again. All I know is they're drilling for water out there. They put a couple of holes down, one reasonably deep, one not so deep. Someone said, which I don't know if it's right or not, you could be looking at it as a future source for water for Randwick.
Right, so I found it.
You found it? Is that
Found it. We're piggybacking on some work ORC is doing in the area. Their monitoring drills don't go as deep as we might require work for when searching for potential drinking water sources. Staff found out about their work, so too good an opportunity to miss, because if they're going to drill 9/10 of the way, they might as well pay for the other 10th. What they're doing as part of ORC's region-wide upgrade to its groundwater state of the environment monitoring network. So I'm picking they're going in and testing whether the water's all pure or everything. The Maniototo aquifer is one of Otago's largest aquifers by area, but there is very little scientific knowledge about it. Only 2 shallow bores currently monitor this aquifer, but 6 sites are identified by ORC across the basin for 11 additional bores that will provide scientists with a more accurate picture of water levels and quality across the Maniototo. And we'll go a bit deeper and see if water can be picked up. So I was going to mention that at board only time, forgetting that there wasn't board only time before the meeting, because Patrick thought you'd be interested. So that's what's happening there.
very good? Well, it's said first one, I think they finished it now and they moved the trucks. I don't know where they are there. Someone did say there was about 6 or 8 holes getting boards.
11.
11.
6 sites were identified for 11 additional bores on the nearby site.
So the council one's the big one, obviously.
Well, we might just go a bit deeper on all of them, I'm not sure. But that's the plan anyway. Might as well use Otago's money to do most of it.
Hey?
Might as well use Otago's money to do most of the work.
Keep up spending it. Yeah, very good. And that's about all I've really. Oh, we recommend before we receive.
You can move around.
Yeah, I understand.
Thank you.
So I'm taking a place. Members' reports.
You go.
Ladies first.
I've got bugger all too, really. No one's been complaining about anything.
Gee.
I haven't been answering my phone, one or the other. With the only thing I've got is with fire, we've spoken a few times in the past about the need for a co-response vehicle with a ute, which they're talking about taking office. Over here, there's a Hilux. We have been given permission to go ahead and buy a ute, or a double cab ute. So we are going through the process of doing that. It probably won't be up and running before the end of the year. Then again, it might be. Let's just wait and see a little bit. But we've got the okay to go ahead and buy it. And on the same, still on the fire side of things, local fire brigade's got its 70th anniversary coming up in September. And also Ewan Mason's 50th, he's got a double gold star coming up at the same time. And that's about it for me.
So going off the 125, yeah, in December, I was talking to Christina from, I don't know if that's who you spoke to earlier today, but she was saying that they're wanting to put money, anything that they make back into the community. So I did message Robert, I think she emailed Robert, and was it you? Or somebody else she emailed about coming in and talking. I don't know the process about how they do that. So I asked her to ring you, Janice.
Okay.
But maybe she might come next time and talk about, they want to put signs up
You know, it's welcome to Rainfully signs. As well as giving to the fire, to the
Yeah.
youth as well,
Yeah,
which is kind of really cool. So they're hoping to make a bit of money to give back into the community.
yeah, I can top that up a wee bit. Part of the raising the money for this youth, the 125th is, I've got a couple of, money going to a couple of places and everything left over will go for the youth, so. And we're probably looking at 80 or 90 grand for the youth all up. Whether that youth gets bought through Ben's, because they've got a bit of buying power. But we could be looking at getting it through Copenhagen. We've got quite a bit of buying power and they get a fair discount, or McLaren Transport through the Richardson Group. Get a heaps of discount for buying you. So, but yeah, that money, there will be money coming from 125th to it.
So cool. So yeah, they've got plans of what they'd like to do, kind of like the Alexander sign is what they're hoping to do. Metal with some rocks and tussocks and. But yeah, she's got plans for that, so I think she'll hopefully come next time and talk about that. On behalf of the Squash Club and I'm sure the Rugby Club as well, thanks to Janice for organising the DFID. That's now on the outside of the stadium building. Down there? Yeah, so it's great. So it just reassures after we had an incident at the Squash Club not that long ago when the DFID was needed. So it's great to have one down there now with all the sports getting played. And on top of that, the lighting. Again, thanks for fixing that because now it's lit up. It's great. So you can see where you're going. Everyone's safe. So it's great. It's awesome. So I appreciate all the work down there. Yeah, it's a great wee hub. The gardens around the main street, they've all been ripped out. It's great. Look at the scene of planting that's going in before September, I think I got told at some stage. So that's great. It's going to look awesome. Stafford Street, on the very corner of Stafford Street and Charlemont Street, when it rains, it always floods on that storm drain. So we had the street sweeper come through. What day was it? Tuesday. It was great, and then it rained and it still flooded down there. So it was quite windy. I'm not sure if there was a build up down there again, but yeah, every time it rains, that one seems to be the one that causes issues down there. And the flats, the pensioner flats, just had a few people questioning the process. And I'm very new to this. What is the process to get your name down and all the information, whatever needed for that? Yeah.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
So they get an application form, they fill out an application form, and then if there's vacancies, we can react pretty quickly. We have to do due diligence on the application forms, and that's easy. If you're talking specifically about Renfrew, yes. We've got 2 flats vacant, but they've been undergoing refurbishment and they're not quite ready yet. So I've got 2 people ready to look at those, but I haven't let them know because there's a wee bit of work to be finished and I don't want them looking at them until I finish it. So it's a simple process.
How many flats have we got in total?
We've got 98 throughout the district, 26 are based up here, 3 in Clyde, 31 in Cromwell. My maths isn't very good. The rest are in Renfrew, Roxburgh, and Alexandra.
So when you've done these 2 up, is that them all done up? And are you talking about that older block?
Yes. And
Okay.
those are the only 2 flats we've got vacant up here.
Yeah, right.
And we've got very high occupancy in the rest of the area. Yeah. So it does depend on vacancies, and we also have a criteria for applicants. So that priority is to those over 65 with community services card, and then the priority comes down. So we're trying to target that older, retired, lower income band.
Yeah, but they're pretty much at full, don't they, the whole time?
Yeah, it's just the 2 vacancies we've had here has been a struggle with contractors getting work done, because being Renfrew, we like everyone out. We've got a certain wage and there's rules around who we can use and who we can't use.
You're done. Cool. That's me.
Before they're gonna be together next.
No, there's a criteria.
Oh.
That's the age band target market, if you want to put it that way, and then it lowers, in order of priority. And so that's when we've got a waiting list. We look at who's on the waiting list, and then we apply the criteria that's been set by council and work through that. And goodness of fit and all sorts comes into it.
Well, I'm old enough if the old girl puts me in, it's just strictly good.
Just with that,
That's why I was asking.
with that road sign, the 150th, wanting to bring in, I had a meeting with one of the organisers today, and they were hoping council could waive the resource consent fee for when the road sign's done. I said, no, she has to come to the board and get a grant to pay the fee. So you can thank me for that later.
That's it. Any of those reports? Need a second? No, thank you. Governance report. Yeah. Yeah, talk to everybody.
Changes that, the updates and everything. A couple of files from anything on this. And other than that, not many changes.
Been delayed received, huh? Right, nothing like to recommend these reports we received. Don't see them. Any discussions on them? Excellent.
Yeah.
Right, date of the next meeting. 14th of September. I'll move that move the public for the next bit of the meeting. Second it. Thank you. Financial governance report. Speaking of that,
That concludes the other section of the meeting.
right, so we're just close that again. Great, but
Now we'll go.
all good.
The last one.
Right, informal after the meeting.